over 50 years experience in student placement matters. We've placed 5,000 students over the world. We have over 1,000 educational counselors. We are in actually 30 plus countries, so we are quite big. We have over 120 plus offices, and 9 out of 10 of our students prefer IDP, and they refer students to us. Now, we have 800 quality institution and university partners across all destinations that we partner in. We have 6 English-speaking destinations, which are UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and US. Excuse me. More than 39,000 courses enrolled last year itself. We are co-owners of IELTS. What this means is that we are not agents to IELTS. We own IELTS with British Council as Cambridge Assessment English. We have certified counselors. So one of our key values or prime value is we are expert. We actually take pride in our expertise. And why are we here? Because we offer free. I know they always say nothing is for free, but whatever destination you choose to go to, compared to other companies all over the world, it's free of charge. Next slide, please. Now, talking about the UK visa process, what's this about? How do I make it? How do we make your journey easier? What are the things you need to look out for when you're starting this process of starting the visa process? Now, you need to look at your personal details. You need to look at your contact details, your caste details, your passport details, your travel history, your institution information, previous stay in the UK, and booking appointment. Now, I'll take it a little bit one by one. Now, what I mean by personal details and passport is that your passport needs to be valid for at least 6 months. What this means is, because a lot of us, we don't actually pay attention to that. So when we apply, we would have applied for our, we have put in an application, we would have even gotten to the stage whereby we are about paying deposit, and we find out that we are the passport is almost expiring. You can't use a passport that is less than 6 months to even apply for visa, because again, it's going to cost you. When you get to the UK, you need to apply. You need to go to the immigration there to now applying for another passport. Even to travel, you will have a problem with it. So before you start that journey, if you've already started that journey, please do check your contact, do check your passport validity if it's at least 6 months or more. Then, contact details. We have, most of us sometimes have change of names. Your passport has, let's say, your maiden name, and your passport has your married name, and your passport and your other documents has your maiden name. You must have gotten documents to prove that change of name. What am I talking about? Like marriage certificates. Certified. There's a proper marriage, not the one, because I've seen marriage certificates that are from local governments, they are from these. UKVI only recognize a particular marriage certificate, which is actually the federal life one, those long sheets one that looks like, Please do always check that. Then travel history. Please always declare your refusals. If you had any refusals, as long as it's not based on fraud, it's not based on anything funny, I'll say funny is relative, but it's not based on fraud. Always declare it when you are starting your application. And that also applies to your previous stay in the UK. Please go ahead. I'll just give you an overview of what the content is. So what does CAS mean? CAS, to make it simple, is like a visa letter. Now, a visa letter is a paper that they give you, but a CAS is like confirmation of acceptance of study. It's like an electronic number where it's generated. The only thing they need, the UKVI need, is just that code, your CAS number, and they'll be able to see all your details. So CAS form is, it will have a unique CAS number. It mentions any prepayment as well as amount, meaning that whatever deposit you pay towards your tuition fee, the CAS will you need to, because I've seen cases in the past where you would have paid for your deposit, but for some weird reason, you didn't get the telex from the bank, and the school form, didn't get it, and you just assume the telex will suffice for your visa application. That cannot happen. When you pay for your tuition, you need to ensure the school actually has received it so that it can reflect on your CAS, which is, like I said, just think of CAS as your visa letter. So it needs, because whatever it is you pay, you'll be thinking of deducting that amount to put the remaining balance in your account. So it's very important for you to actually always ensure all that is sorted. Then it will also state personal information, like I've already mentioned that your program details is very important for your program. If you have, let's say, engineering management, it has to state all that. Then previous education, academic document used in assessment. What this means is, it's not all the document used in process admission that would be on your CAS. The school itself will stipulate what is used to assess you for your CAS. So, in your admission, I don't know, for people that have gone towards the admission stage, you submit a lot of things. Reference, YA results, the works, there are a lot, everything. For all you know, you might just be 3 things that is stated on your CAS. That is the only thing. So do not submit anything that is outside what is stipulated on your CAS academically. So that is what you should submit. Now, when to apply on the course? You can apply for visa 3 months before your start date. Not way before. You usually get a decision on your visa within 3 weeks, minimum of 15 working days is said, so that's about 3 weeks. And the cost of your visa is about, give or take, sometimes it ranges depending on the location, because in Nigeria you can only apply in Ikeja, VI, or Abuja. So, in VI, it's a bit, different from if you're applying in Ikeja here. So some people, you see the crowd in Ikeja teleperformance first, because it doesn't require you to pay an additional fee. But in VI, you find out that it's actually a little bit, there's an extra dollar to it because, it's different, or maybe because it's far away. So it's really different, but we just want to give you the average of what the visa fee requires. Next, please. Now, the financial evidence, which is, I think, one of the most important things. Now, the way the Tier 4 system is that you need to achieve 40 points before you can get a visa. 30 points for your CAS, 10 for your financial evidence. Now, bank statement can be in any currency. You can have your monies in dollar, pound, naira, euro, whatever currency, as long as it's the money that is outstanding. Now, I'll explain that in detail. Now, the but must be equivalent to the required money, that's the pounds, according to Rwanda.com. Now, UKVI uses a particular website to be able to gauge your exchange rate. But I'm always very careful, because remember, the money that we're talking about needs to be in your account for a period of 28 days and during your visa application point. So I don't like people using Rwanda rate at the point of when they want to put it in. Because within that, let's say, 28 days is a month, and duration of 15 working days, the exchange rate, God knows, you know how Nigeria is up, down, over the top, everywhere. So I always say, let's always do at least a markup of maybe almost the way the black market is, so that there won't be any shortfall. I know black market is steep compared to what Rwanda would be, but you need to look for an average, or else you would have to, by the time you now want to, when the money is complete, you might find that the exchange rate has differed. And if you top up on that money again, you have to start all over from 28 days. So that's the reason why it's really important to always put that money in. Never do just Rwanda at that point of putting the money in. Always do, if let's say black market is about 900 pounds, maybe you should do it at 850. You and I know that it can never be 850 in terms of maybe Rwanda, but it gives you that sleepless night, and like you can sleep peacefully, knowing that at least you don't have to recount all over again. Now, the bank statement needed must be in the student's name or the parents' name. Now, your spouse is not allowed to sponsor you. Your any other relative is not allowed to sponsor you. The only person that the money has to be in, the only money allowed by the UKVI is either the student name, you all that are here, that are the applicants, or your parents. Now, if you have a case of, let's say, a legal guardian, and now Nigeria legal guardian is always not the same way as legal guardian used by the UKVI. Now, if legal guardian means that you are adopted, and the person is standing as a legal guardian, not an uncle that paid for your school fees when you were small. It's about no, because you know how we Nigerians are. We never have documentation for anything. Adoption documentation, I've never seen it, probably once in my career, and that says a lot. So that is why you should be very careful. So just make it easier. Always get your uncle that is sponsoring, do anything to please try and put that money in your account. And if you come to IDP, we can talk to that your sponsor so that they can release the money to you. So that the money sits in your account, so that they don't feel as if you're spending the money as it is. So that needs to be checked. Now, a combined account, combination of bank account may be used. Now, I like the word may here because I've seen a refusal based on the fact that you use double accounts. And I've seen a visa that it requires, a visa to combine accounts. So I always try as much as possible to tell our students, please use just one account to make it so easy. Because the visa officer might not be in a good mood that day and has, 100 applications, and just one way or the other made a mistake with, maybe just looking at one and saw that you don't have the required funds and gives you 30 instead of 40 as per your CAS, as per your tier 4 points. So please always ensure that at least you use one. Then birth certificate, if you are using like your parents' account, a birth certificate is required. Now I know that, like I said, a birth certificate has to be the way it is on your passport. Now, my name is Funlayo Kene. Kemi being my first name, it's quite different from Funlayo being my first name in my passport, on my passport. So make sure your birth certificate correlates with what is on your passport. Because we always have this issue of middle name and first name swapped together. And that is a no-no. Because even though you say you are one and same, Kemi and Funmi, they are not the same thing. So please always try and actually check that. And if you've never, most of the time, I'm always saying, if you've never used your birth certificate for something like maybe traveling and all that, you can always go to the MPC. Is it MPC now? National Population Commission, and get another one. It doesn't mean that you are trying to be dodgy. It just means that probably you need to state it the way it is on your passport. Now, the required amount must be in the account for 20 days, and I've told you about that from the closing balance. Now, the closing balance must be within 14 days of the visa application submission date. What this means is, and we know ourselves, when the money is there, some people will print it out, they will remove the money, and hoping that the UK VI knows that the money is there. Now, what this means is there's a problem because it's randomly, there's always random checks where they check if that money is still in their account. And they don't, believe me, they don't go to your branch to check. They have UK VI have sources, contact from the head office, whereby they will check if that money is there or not. So if that money is not there, you're not going to get that 10 points. So that's why we always say, please ensure that you can have, that money needs to be there for that 28 days and for the duration of the time for the visa application. And that money, the closing balance cannot be more than 2 weeks to the time you are submitting. I don't know if that makes sense. Please draw me back if I'm talking too fast. 2 weeks, it can't be more than 2 weeks. So that if it's a month before your submission date, it leaves there must have been a difference within that 1 month. That's what the idea is. So that's why we are saying within 4 days of the visa application submission date. And we talk about the must only be a personal account, not a company account. Company account is not accepted. It can only be a personal account. Joint account, I don't never like joint account because again, it's equal partnership with your spouse or wherever you join. So please just make it a personal account. And I'm always very wary about the types of bank. Mortgage banks are not allowed. Always pick banks that they can hear, not banks that, even me myself, I'm looking at, and I'm checking which bank is this. Because we have a lot of banks. And was it not just last week where the federal government said something about mortgage banks, list of mortgage banks? So you don't want that. So keep to the names of the banks that you're sure. So while this is important, when you come to us as IDP, we'll be able to tell you the banks that, if that can be accepted. Next, please. Maintenance funds. So the money that you need to put in your account. Required amount includes 1 year tuition fee, less than prepayment. So if you pay your deposit, whatever is remaining from that money is with the living expenses. Now, the living expenses stipulated by the UK VI, if your school is within London, is within London is 1,334 per month, per year. Sorry, per month. Total of 12,006. But if your school is outside London, now outside London schools are, I'll mention that in a bit, but outside London schools, you need to have at least £9,207 in your account, plus your tuition fees. I hope you all understand, or should I take that again? Okay, so tuition fee, what about your tuition fee? Let me use an example. If your tuition fee is about £14,000, and you have to pay £3,000 for your deposit, it means that £11,000 plus, if your school is outside London, 9,207. So £11,000 plus 9,207 must be in your account. But if your school is within London, now the likes of the University of Brunel, London, I'm just using, I don't want to call a particular client's name because I'm not trying to sell any client, but if the school is within London, that means you need tuition fee, the same, let's say 14,000 plus 12,006 must be in your account for that period of time, for 28 days plus during visa application period. Now, you will be considered to be studying in London if you are studying at the University of London, for instance, or any institution partly within London. Now, I know a lot of people always say Hertfordshire because Hertfordshire is very popular with Nigerians for some weird reason. You say, but it's in Hatfield. Hatfield is actually 20 minutes away from London. It is considered as partly only one London. So you still have to commit 12,006, even though you've not escaped London. But if it's actually, and you can see, some are even within part of excess. Hertfordshire, sorry. Now, if you are not sure, your institution will be considered as London. You can check, we can help you check. But places like Leicester, Loughborough, Coventry, Derby, all those places are definitely outside London. So the likes of 9,207 is applicable. Again, if you are not sure, we'll be able to help you out. Next. Now, supporting documents, I mentioned about documents as stipulated on the CAS. Now, it can be, I'm just citing examples. Examples can be, maybe they'll tell you, we need original transcript and certificate of, that's what is used in assessing you. Now, they don't mean a soft copy, please. I always prefer that you scan. Well, if you are for visa application, if you are uploading, if you are not submitting at TLS, if you are uploading, please do upload the original document. Don't never upload something that is scanned. You are putting yourself for unnecessary, failure. So please always, transcript. I always move away from, if you can get not a student copy per se, all those ones that don't, please try as much as possible. Just get, the one that's signed and, letterhead and all that. Then certificate, your certificate, not a soft copy, the original certificate. Then if some schools say maybe they use IELTS for you, IELTS UK Visa, whatever it is, that also can be used. Then most schools nowadays, because they know that English is our first language, unless that particular course is regardless of whether you're a Nigerian or international student, that particular course requires higher band score. That's when they probably require you to do IELTS, but most of the time they do recognize WAEC results. So for those people that are using their parents, for those people that use their parents, consent letter from your parents is actually needed. And for people that are going with dependents, for your kids, as long as they are less than 18, you need to write a consent letter for them as well. Then again, there are some courses like engineering courses that you need ATAS. It's called ATAS, means Academic Technology Approval Scheme. They would have stated it on your offer letter that you need it, so you must have applied for it. This is required for postgraduate students for certain subjects. I've mentioned in English, engineering and science related. Must have applied for it before your visa, because that the approval always takes about a month or even more than a month. I've seen the cases of about 6 weeks before, so it's always better to do that way before you start your visa processing. Next, please. Okay, we're almost getting to the finish line. So, what's the next step? Complete. So when you've gotten all your document, your 28 days is ready, you start, you've paid your deposit, everything is in sync. You complete a visa online application. Now, you don't have to do that yourself. We in IDP would actually help you with that through a UK Visa website by making a visa application and your IHS surcharge payment. Select a biometric submission at a visa application, TLX, Ikeja, VI, Abuja. Like I said, VI costs more, but the crowd might not be as crazy as Ikeja. So if you want something that you can move in and out without too much stress, or you having to fight at Etibet there, then you might want to just take the VI and just look at it as service charge for less pain. Let me just put it. Then submit biometrics in most cases takes part in a visa interview. Now, in cases whereby UK VI do not know you, it's just a random call session. So that sometimes they pick each intake. They kind of always revolve the cases. That sometimes that randomly they will just call you. Now, I always tell our students, please, when you submit your visa application, always ensure that the phone number you're using is not a phone number, because not anything to Glo or Airtel or MTN, but that sometimes our phones just always, even though your phone is on, it's just switched off. You've had those cases, right? And God, they'll say in your family, they say village people, right? But it's not a village people story here. It's just, please, try as much way to use number that that yes, doesn't have any issue, so that if they even call you for an interview, you're not on an Okada or somewhere whereby you can't even pick up the call, because sometimes if you drop the call, for some reason, I've seen people saying, I've called you 100 times, or I've called you 5 times, I didn't, da. So sometimes they give you. Now, we always tell our students, in case they call you, we would have prepped you for a mock interview. I've had cases where a student, this jackass story whereby you just want to go to school, you don't even know the modules that you're required for your course. There shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't know your modules. There shouldn't be any reason you should know from the town to your university, how many minutes does it take. There shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't know. Modules, or why did you pick the university you picked compared to other universities. These are the little things they check. They don't check for major, big things. They're just basic things that you yourself, if you're a genuine student, it's called credibility interview, you will know. So for instance, I can say, why did you pick Coventry? I picked Coventry because it's okay to say, because it's, compared to the other universities I saw, it's the cheapest, according to my budget. They gave me a scholarship of £2,000, and the reason why I picked it is genuine. Or why did you pick UK? Oh, because it's 6 hours away from Nigeria and I can go and come as I please. But things as genuine as they don't complicate things. Don't make it grammar and all that. Just make it almost as genuine, as simple as possible. So these are this credibility. Don't say because one thing. No. Believe me, I've seen in my lifetime, I've seen different answers that it's just so complicated, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You can even say, because I want to know more, I'm trying to get on with my English, and I feel learning Queen English right now is going to help me engage with other students all over, in multi-countries or whatever it is. Again, you can make it as simple and basic. It's genuine and true, and you can hear it. You don't have to complicate matters. So please do be aware of that step 4. Now, when you get your visa, normally, they've changed it since about 2018 or so. They'll give you like a sticker kind of on your passport. So when you get to UK, you have to go to the address that is on it's like post office address or written on, to get your BRP. That's your, what does BRP mean now? It has got stuck on my mind. Like something like, I've forgotten, sorry. Yes, thank you very much. So you have to get it so that you can, if you don't get it within 10 days or when you enter into the UK, you'll be in trouble and it will be revoked. So that's why it's very important for you to get it. Now, for visa application, the normal processing time is minimum of 15 working days. There's priority visa of 5 to 7 working days. That costs about, I think, £20 or so. Then super priority, which is, there's a lot of money that involves, it takes about 48 hours. I think that's it. This is another stage of departure for people that have gotten their visa and just want to know more about UK. But at this point, I don't know if you want to ask your questions before we proceed on, or I should go ahead. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the insight.
Yeah.
My question is, you said we should not use companies' account and that. What if the company is not paying for studies?
Yeah, so the way Tier 4 visa is such that it has to be, I'm not saying it, is the Tier 4 policy. It has to be either your personal, your applicant's account or your parent's account, and it has to be personal. So if your company is sponsoring, your company will give you that money, you put it inside your account. If your uncle is sponsoring, they will need to give you that money. I know that is a tough order in Nigeria as a way, but that it has to be like, it's not like maybe the way Australia or Canada or other destinations are. Tier 4 is, so that's why it's super easy to get to the UK, as you know. So that's why it's just a point-based system. Tick, 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 go, visa, go. So nothing like company account. Company can sponsor you, get a refusal. The only kind of body that can sponsor you, that is the body that's recognized by the UK, like a scholarship board, like maybe likes of Chevron, Shell, NDDC, federal government something, do you understand, that is recognized by the UK VI. Please, local government is not recognized. No, please don't do it. Kinika, Kola, whatever, is not going to be recognized. Don't even go there, no. Don't go there, don't even bother. Don't do it. Local government, even there are some state government that they are creditors. You know what I'm saying? They have experience, so you have to be careful. If you are not sure, please let us know. There's some states like now, even NDDC, they have this history already with they don't pay tuition fee, they owe, and students are stopped. So you have to be careful as well. You know how our federal government is with monies and all. So that's why you have to be careful. But the most important ones are the ones that heavyweights, and they can get that sorted. Thank you for that question. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Please go ahead, then I'll close you.
Okay, my question is, does the same procedure apply to places like Australia, Canada, and...
No, this is strictly UK, and their own. Australia is a different bottle of fish, and kettle of fish, and this is different. But UK, yeah.
How are we going to get information?
So please do. That's why we're here. IDP, even though this is dedicated to UK, because it's our destination as well. We are an Australian company, by the way. So, we have Australian counselors that will help you with Australia information. Thank you. Sorry.
So for me, we have someone from, I'm so sorry. We have someone from social media who wants to know if this is for undergraduate or postgraduate.
This is just for UK as a destination, whether it's undergraduate, whether it's postgraduate, whether it's PhD. This applies for all international students going to the UK. Thank you. Sir.
So I noticed you didn't mention anything about proof of fund for CAS.
I did mention it though. Going backwards, can we go back?
Basically, just require that you have a proof of fund before the issue of the CAS.
Okay, so why I didn't want to be specific concerning schools is there are some schools, I think I did mention, there are some schools that require you to pay to have that proof of fund before you get your car. There are some schools that you don't even require that proof of fund and you get your car. So that I won't be too specific. But what I always tell you is this. Now, the exchange keep on going crazy and crazy. And I will give, regardless of what the school wants, I will employ you to start, at least pay your deposit, to manage your financial capabilities when you get to school. Now, why I'm saying this is this. English universities do not play with their money. Now, there's a way that every school have installment plans. And what I mean by installment plan, I don't mean installment £2. I'm talking about it's 100%, right? Pay your 25 or maybe 75 now, or some will even say 50, 25, 25. So now, when you get to school, at the point of registration, most schools require you to pay, if you've paid your deposit or you've not paid your deposit, most schools require you to pay 50%. Is it the black market rate you pay at that time? Or will you tell them, oh, I filled the form way that probably will take about 6 or 8 weeks? You say you should hang on. You might not have, they might hang on for a month, but you might not, some assets might be withdrawn from you. So that's how I always employ you, regardless of what the school, as long as you are genuine, regardless of what the school wants. you might want to start, like managing your expectations right now. Whether the school wants it or don't want it, try and see if you can get your Form A sorted, at least even 25%. Even though the school now requires it at the point of that, whatever, you'll have sorted it. It's not as if you're waiting or you're just generating, doing the Form A at the point where you're in the UK. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
We have another question from Instagram.
Okay.
Rather than IELTS for school purposes, is ECCTIS accepted?
For UK schools, most of the time they require IELTS, UK VI, or just normal IELTS. So I'm not sure, is that for UK or for something else?
So it's for, so she would have to specify. But Sheena, please tell us if this question is for UK or any other destination.
Okay. Sir, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, I want to find out the use of fixed deposits as part of your...
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, but it's not as if it's a no. It's not completely out of the table. There's a rule to that fixed deposit. The fixed deposit cannot be more than a month old before you apply for visa. So that what I mean is the letter that you need from the bank cannot be, it's not even, I think it's even less than, I'm not sure if it's 1 month old, I can double check that for you, or maybe 2 weeks old.
So there's usually a certificate.
That's what I mean. I mean that, I call it a letter. Do you understand? But because it can't be more than, just like I said, your bank statement cannot be 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks old when you are submitting your visa application. That certificate cannot be, I think, a month or 2 weeks old. I'll double check whether it's 2 months or 1 month to when your visa application. So if you collected a letter, if your fixed deposit is, let's say, let's talk about this offline because it's quite, more story and everything. That's why it's not a no. They do accept it, but there's his own policies to it. Yes. Okay, I thought someone was asking a question. Yes.
So this is for
Is there going to
you.
be a separate session for those going to Canada, Australia, and other?
This is really dedicated for UK, but if you want to know more about that, we can book an appointment so that you can meet with your counselors in the office. Does that work? Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you have to show POF at
Point of entry, like at migration point. So that's a very, very valid question, and I'm going to talk about it during the pre-departure point. It's a random thing. There's no rule anywhere that says when you are about entry into the UK, you must have your bank statement so that you can show them, or you can have your CAS. But I always say, at least your CAS, your academic documents, where you're going to and all that, let it be in your backpack or your hand luggage. But for bank statements, in a particular year, they were randomly doing that, where they just select you randomly. When you go and that point where you stamp, click your stamp, just say where's your proof of funds. So it's a yes or no, no. But if you can actually print it out before you travel, and it doesn't cost anything, why not? But it's not mandated. But sometimes they do random check. I don't know if that helps. Okay.
Do they check, like, ask you to show your balance or something?
So they just want to see if the money you've set. So your cards will have the amount that you've actually you've deposited. So in a random, just like a visa officer immigration, they'll be able to see whether you have the money that you said. You said you're a genuine student, right? So it's just random. It's not. They're not visa officers where they're saying, is it 2 weeks before or whatever. Do you understand? It's just the money, lump sum of money. So if you have, let's say, 0 in your bank account, you're going to school, say, okay, is it in pounds? You can say, oh, it's not in naira, but it's in pounds. So can we have, it's just like when you are going into a country and just random checks. That's all.
Okay, so for this lady, the one who asked about ECCTIS being accepted for school purposes, she's referring to UK. So is it accepted in UK schools?
So I always leave institutions at the one. Most of the institutions do require just normal IELTS, but if they really, because it's to assess English language, but if they need extra documents, it has to do with your course. So that is not a general set, like I would say general prerequisite, let's say, to enter into UK school. So maybe it's specific to maybe your course. And to be honest, I don't think I've heard of that particular certification, but again, not because it's not valid, but I might want to check what that is. Thank you. Any other question before we move on? Yes, sir.
So, no more question. That amount, is it going to be in Naira account, big Naira?
It can be in any currency, and whether it's DOM account, whether it's it can be domiciliary account, it can be personal account, it can be, like I said, it might be in domicile in your dollar account or pounds account, as long as it's equivalent to the amount that is outstanding, and it can't be $1 less, $1 less, or £1 less. It has to be exact monies.
It can be more.
It can, of course, it can be more. It can be more, the more, but it can't be less than the amount, stipulated amount that you need. So what I tell my students, if you have enough pounds in your account, so that you don't have that inflation of whether the money is enough or not, keep it the way it is. Even with dollar, keep it as long as the money is there. But with Naira, we all have to always check Rwanda and all that. But like I said about that previously, you might want to keep it not at Rwanda rate when you put it in. You might want to put it where at least, in between black markets and, don't keep it CBN, please.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
Okay, when you have that POF, are you supposed to be running the account or you just leave it there?
Okay, good question. So when you have that POF, are you supposed to be running your account? So what I don't want is, you can be running, is your personal account, right? You've had, okay, there are two scenarios. If you put it, if it's there for the purpose of, you just open it for the purpose of that stuff, you can put it there. It's there. But at the point of when you want to submit for visa, if you don't do like a transaction again, it will not look as if you had that money for 28 days. I don't know if that makes sense to any one of you. Because it will look as if that money was there. If the money came in, today is 3rd, and you need it in the next 28 days, if no transaction is there, it should just show 3rd and 3rd. Unless maybe the day you need, if I need it, let's say 28th of July. On the 28th of July, if I do a transaction, it shows 28th of July backwards 3rd, which shows I've had the money for more than 28 days, correct? So that's the logic. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. Okay. Sir, sorry. Yes.
Let's assume you are doing with your family. Does that mean the proof of fund has to cover your family together, or what if you want to apply for your family visa separate?
Okay. So whatever you're doing, your family will always be your dependent, at least prior to they stopping it in January. Now the monies for your dependent is about 6,120 per dependent. So if you want to apply first, the money can just be for you alone and you get a visa. But when you now want to apply for your dependent, the money, if you have 5 dependents, that's 5 times 6,120 must be in your account. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay.
We have one more question. What about when possible is required for CAS Shield application? Do I need POF for CAS issued and UKVI?
So most of the time, depending on the school, most schools require your 28 days, yes. So what I would suggest you do is that if you can liaise with us, IDP, we're able to tell you whether you need, because when you look at your CAS Shield, just check if you need to have, just check if there's a link for bank statement. If there is, then automatically that 28 days must have been there. The money must have been in 28 days prior to you uploading that bank statement. Yeah? So we can move on now?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, what you are saying now is that, okay, let's assume that maybe with the family and so on, that you need like 25 million to do that. Okay. Then I deposit the money there. So can I continue to run the account? I think putting the money must, that balance must be there.
So, okay, this is what I would say. We Nigerians, we are so super smart. You know when an account looks as if it's boosted? You understand what I'm saying? Boosted. Boosted. So what you don't want is this. If that account is going to be for 28 days, and in the running of your account, it doesn't look as if it's like ordinary, accounts that is running. It's quite different from that every other 2 weeks. 500K, 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 it's going in and out just to boost it. Then it comes to, you understand what I'm trying to say? It might be really you're doing so well in your business. But just be ready for maybe further, not investigations, but can be random to just say, what do you do for a living? You understand what I'm saying? But again, I'm not saying that's what is going to happen. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because there can't be exact money every two weeks. It doesn't happen. No. So that's why you have to be, like I said, you're smart. You have to know how, when. But again, we will handle you if you come to us. That's the whole point of us being here. Okay, so moving on. Predeparture. Just talk about UK a bit. What we want to cover today is just about living and studying in UK, current student experience, networking opportunities. Please use that. The fact that I don't know the motive why you're going to the UK, but please use it to your best ability and take advantage of the opportunity, network opportunity that that has presented to you. So UK is a very tolerant country. It's it's very diverse, multinational, and it has a lot of things to offer. The next slide, please. All ways of life are respected. Against the law to discriminate on basis. Now I get that, just like when you go to some villages, especially some tribal villages whereby they are like even here in Nigeria. If you're not from a particular tribe and you go to the inner core villages and all that, there's a bit of, that's stopping. It happens everywhere, even in Nigeria, not just of UK. So there's some, if you go to a school that probably is in the more wide domain population, you might find that they are not readily, accepting. Doesn't mean that, UK is not. They're not. But if you go to the bigger cities, Manchester, London, Brighton, and all those places, the diverse nature is actually different. So just always put that and don't generalize that, they are allowed because, of where you are. Now, there is a law against, discrimination on basis of race, nationality, and religion. 20% staff of academic staff, 20% of academic staff are based in the UK are from overseas, and that's what you see. Your lecturers, they will not be all fully white. They will be, from different backgrounds. And the point is, you connect with people from all over the world. Next slide. Now, this is what UK looks like. If you go to the Birmingham Palace, that is, and of course, if you meet they call this particular, we Nigerians, we have a name for their police. I'm trying to remember the name now. There's a local name that we give them. So open to all, sorry? That's the last one. So, that's a nice one. UK is open to all international students. You'll be able to stay and work or look for work 2 to 3 years. So in the first session, a staff from UK VI joined us to take this session and was talking about the graduate route, where after your studies you can actually apply for the graduate route. The application takes about 8 weeks. And you don't need a sponsor. When I mean a sponsor, you don't need a company. You don't need to have gotten a job and a company acting as your sponsor for you to apply. And if you get a visa, you can stay 2 to 3 years. Now, you must have completed the whole point of that graduate route. You must have completed your studies successfully before you can do that. No interview is required, and I think that's it. Next, please. So before you travel, I know people always say, we travel all the time, but I just want to, keep this in where we travel. Please go ahead. Now, in my experience, I've seen, please can you take everything down? In my experience, I've seen cases where you've packed everything. You get to the airport, and you're looking for your passport. It's not village people. It is what they call stress. And not just put together. So everything is not village people. So now you need to ensure when you've gotten your visa, you've packed your bags, you've packed, mommy has packed everything for you. Please always ensure you put your passport not in your luggage, not in the box. Because you will need it. You have to put it in your women, your handbag, with men, your hand luggage wherever it's accessible. Then your document, academic document, please do not put it in your bag too. Like likes of your transcript, your certificate, please put it in your hand luggage, something where it can be accessible. The same thing goes for all this, the offer letter cards. Accommodation details, because again, at the point of immigration where they're asking you questions, believe me, I've seen cases where they ask you what is your name and you are blank. No, it sounds fun. I'm trying to let you know this happens. You're trying to remember my name is. So it would be good if you can access this. And this is not just to put in a bit of light one. Believe me, it can be because you're nervous. Especially for even the people that have been to UK before sometimes, if you're not well traveled. Especially as a first timer. You know, you're seeing the queue, you're on the queue, you're already like, oh, I hope you won't ask me a question. I'm a Nigerian, I have a green passport. Okay, yeah, this happens. Especially if you're even going that route of, before you get, you're trying to save costs, you went to Singapore or Uganda before going to UK. You know all those things, you know what I'm saying, right? For people that are well traveled. So you might want to just take a breather, don't worry, everything will be okay. So it's better you should put those documents, so that at least if you have those documents, even though you don't remember your first name, remember your last name. Now, your medical vaccination certificate, I'm so proud to say it is no longer needed for you to be vaccinated before. But if you have it, the green vaccination or whatever, please still keep it with you. Travel insurance, your phone, your BRP collection details, the one I've talked about. Anything that has to do with your marriage or birth certificate, if you use your parents' accounts and all that, that should be in a place whereby it's accessible. So if it's your knapsack, put it there so that it's easy for you to, if there's a problem. And again, it's always good for you to, especially if you travel. I've had a student in the past where arrived on a Sunday, and for some reason, I think that Sunday or maybe Saturday was the last day of deadline, like latest start date. So the immigration officer didn't want, like it's already, like the next day kind of. So luckily, the student was able to get our number, This was in my past experience, not with IDP anyway. Get our number, and they called us. We had to engage the school. The school had to get like a letter to say the student can still arrive at the school at that time. So it's very, very important that your mobile phone, please try as much as possible to make sure that it's on. During your trip, your plane and everything, try and charge it so that don't let your phone die. Let me just put it like that. Then airport guidelines, carry everything from checklist in your handbag. Always ensure you always check airline for luggage allowance so that you've seen the cases. So declare, I don't know if anybody has had experience with declare or not declare. We're studying with students whereby when you are here, your mom wants you to experience that local food for that 1 year that you are going to be in the UK. So you have all the garris, all the this, all the that, all the food embedded in that box, which exceed the luggage. So even though it doesn't actually, when you get to the UK, there's one part of declare or not declare and all the other things. I've seen cases where students, they had to poke, stuff inside the student. The student had, the mother had this thing of, like when you fry meat, they now put oil so that, so that it lasts. Exactly, it lasts longer. So it wasn't fun, it's because they had to poke to the shore. And, will you eat that afterwards, after poking and all that, or maybe dog sniffing you and all that? Again, not so serious, but you just want to keep it at the minimum. There's always Nigerian food. I'm very sure all your friends from the UK have told you can access food. Yes, maybe in pounds, but you can access food. So don't go overboard on this, please. Sorry? You don't want to carry 50 kg of Gary for goodness sake. Because never is your best food. So you want to do that, do you? So you just want to, keep it Gary that you can soak so that you can at least soak for, but you can't soak for a year. So please try as much as possible to plan your travel. 3 hours. International flights is 3 hours ahead. I know Nigeria is full of things, but please try and get, because you don't want to be flustered. When you get to the immigration point whereby you never know, we Nigerians are always full of different things at the airport, international airport. There's always one thing or the other. They're always creating new sessions where and what. So what you don't want to miss your flight. So always get there 3 hours ahead so that you can get settled, you can go through all the border. If you make a mistake, if it's your first time, maybe you turn left, you turn right, at least before all that time, you won't miss your flight. So it's always better to start early. And I've talked about this already. Restriction on liquid items. You know, there are some items that you can't carry in your hand luggage, like especially your cream. If your cream is more than 100 ml or 150, I can't remember now. But please try as much as possible to put all those things. Manage what you put in your hand luggage. Okay, so get into your university. When you get to your university, please, I don't think this happens again, but in the past, I've seen cases whereby the student got to the university, just went shopping, doing things. For about 3 days or so, the student didn't even bother attending anything. Even registration, nothing. You know? As in nothing, you know? And all the students, you know, again, they are different. This mostly happens to more undergraduate than postgraduate as it is. So it's as if freedom, you know, and all, and just went berserk, and for 3 days, you know, nothing. So it's always, you know, very important to keep your university informed. Especially, attendance needs to be minimum of 80% as per Tier 4 rules. So please do not always try to, unless you are ill, always try to check your attendance, because whatever you acquire, the points you acquire during your duration, don't let it affect your graduate rate if you decide to apply for your graduate route. So always try as much as maintain decent, whatever. Don't cause troubles. Don't flip. You know, when you don't get fines here and there to keep your records. You understand? Fines here and there where you're paying fines against the law, blah blah blah, where it's accumulating. So you always have to be careful. Check if the institution offers. There's so many, especially institutions in the UK, even Australia, everywhere. They do sometimes offer free pickup service at the airport. So always check if. One thing about us, most of the time, Nigerians today don't meet that because we are late. We are last minute people. We don't do early. You know what I'm saying. So we always doing is July that we want to go for September. It's July that we're just waking up to say, okay, I want to go in September. So by the time you look at the start date, we are going maybe past the start date, we are looking for latest start date. So things like that. So, all these things might not be applicable at that point because people would have, sorted out. So try as much as possible to check your institution. Most transport services will accept payment by credit card. I'm talking about that if you decide to use coach, depending, that sometimes you don't want to save cost or there's no direct flight. You get maybe Heathrow or Gatwick or whatever it is, then you have to take coach to where you're going, right, or take train. So you need, there's some cards. There's some cards. Although I think within London, your Star card, there's some things that you can use credit card or debit card for. Yeah. So these are just an average. We just compiled this based on research. Cost of living in the UK. If you are living within London, and depending on where in London you're living, I don't even think this is actually applicable in this inflation season. Average of 1,200, between 1,000 to 1,300. That's the average cost. But again, I said this is not applicable because depending on where you're staying in London, if you're not living inside the school, if you're staying outside school, you might be for a studio room. When I mean studio room, just one bedroom, just one parlor, and probably in the parlor there's a kitchen or something. You might be paying as high as maybe 1,002 per month. It's just ridiculous, really expensive in London. So you might want to just, when you're considering, especially your budget, you might want to. I know you want London school because it's London is where everything happens. But you might want to consider your budget when you're thinking of the school you want to go to. Then we have Brighton. Brighton is within that range. Manchester is within that range. Oxford, Birmingham, Glasgow, Edinburgh. I think we can. Sorry? So these are some of the banks on arrival. When you get to school on arrival, these are all the banks that are popular. Barclays, HSBC, and all this. Money matters. It's very, like I said, budget. Things are not, our exchange rate just getting worse. And also by the time you convert money and all that, you just want to check. Again, another very key thing why you need to apply early and start early is because most of these jobs that you want to apply for, you're part of the international students. It's not just Nigerian students. And the highest population, they are Chinese people. and Indian, then we. So the thing is that you might want to just start early, get to school, so that you can actually have more options to be able to choose from when you are getting work and all that, so that you can be able to sustain. Now, I know that I did say that the estimated living expenses by the UKVI for London is 12,006, and living expenses for outside London is 9207. But it doesn't mean that is what your living expenses is going to be. It's just stipulated. It all depends on your lifestyle. Purely your lifestyle. If you're the kind of person that maybe you want to cut down on your light, or if you're not in school, maybe you're feeding, or maybe you don't really club that much, or you're not the kind of person that really shop that much, all this would factor in. Or if you're not with your dependent, things like that. So just always look at your budget so that it helps. Sorry, Shola, please, whatever they're doing there is affecting me and they're going. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Just put all the details in. Okay, so staying in the UK is relatively very safe. You don't hear gunshots every day, or depending on where you are, to be honest, but it's not as bad as maybe US as it is. Avoid carrying large amounts of money, because it's such a, you can use cashless system and all that. Be aware of alerts of potential scams, be sensible and be aware of your surroundings. Make sure your phone is always charged, respect and be open to other people's culture. So that's some of the things. Our culture here is such that with the British people, they do not like, most of their terminology is, you can say, they use a lot of please. Please is not like how to say please, things like that. Like we always say, when you're a Roman, you behave like a Roman. Please, when people are on the queue, do not jump in the queue because your father is the president or your father is the local chairman. No, you have to actually respect people on the queue, wait your turn. Don't, these are things that, you won't, to be honest, you'll see and you just follow follow one way or the other. You just have to respect people's culture. Some of the places around in the UK are, we just picked random places. Brighton, Lake District, Manchester, Cardiff is in Wales, Bath, Edinburgh, Scotland. These are just, some historical snapshot that we just wanted to show you, depending on where your university is. Some of the useful numbers we can give you is these are the useful numbers when you get to the UK. 999 is emergency, whether it's police, fire, ambulance, coast guard. 112 emergency. Also, 111 is non-emergency for health, and 101 is non-emergency for police. So just random, that can help you. So at this point, I hope you found this presentation, quite, insightful. And at this point, if you want to book an appointment, you can. We have our counselors here. Shola, please do. Maybe you should just come here. Is as student counselor for UK. We have at the MEC for UK. We have about 4 different counselors for UK. So if you want to engage them on what's your next step, may it be that you want to start your application. May it be that you even have an offer already and you want to proceed. You don't know what to do next. Another thing we do is one thing about it, what makes us different is we put our student first. And this is not we saying it's just a like sales gimmick. It's student first in the journey. What can we do to make it easier for our students? So that's how we have some services like added value service. We call it SES, where we have different like collaboration with other partners or Western Union, different things where Flywire, where you can, if you want to make your tuition fee, you can use that. Or the local one, we have this thing with Zenith Bank, whereby if you want to do your Form A, they put IDP students at the forefront to see how they can facilitate that payment. And this is not me trying to sell it; it's something that's happened over time with our students. So, if you are at that journey, please do let us know. We just, bring you on board. And at this point, I want to thank you all. We don't take this for granted because I know today is a rainy day and you took all the time to come from your house to here. So we do really appreciate you and thank you all for coming. But if you have any questions, the floor is open.
You have a question?
Yes.
Do I need to book accommodation ahead or doing that when arrive UK while with a friend?
So the thing is, So one thing is that I always have this joke, London hour. Do you know why I'm saying that? Because with a friend, you see that it's not so easy. So I always employ you. When you get to school, you can book the accommodation, you can have a deposit of accommodation, and get the feel of it before you move to go and stay with a friend. Because believe me, there's not like family members or whatever, you pay your own quota. There's not like that in the UK, to be honest. So you might want to, I will employ you as a student, if you're first time, please pay your deposit towards your tuition. Pay your deposit towards your accommodation. It's about maybe £250. Most of the time, some will say well, 150 or 250. Get the feel. You can always move out later on if you want to. I don't know if that answers your question.
But
yeah. Someone asked a question.